Alright, so I'm playing this old Mario game from 1988 called Super Mario Castle. It's like an old, and I've lost. Anyways, I'm going to show you the game or how it's worked during the 80s. It's like a game review on my YouTube channel. See, I've been uploading 3 random videos, but anyways. So it gets quite annoying when you die, you know. So what I'm so I keep dying, so I hope I don't die this time. I'm only telling you the basics of how this game actually really is. I've never played Mario in a long time, but it's like very and so the pixels of this game, the usual game pixels used at the time with using an I don't say now, but I think it's the really good. This game's called Mario Castle. It must have been the hardest game doing ever, and everything looked very different from now, because back in the day, Mario pixels were usually very different. If like if you play Mario now, it's normally usual pixels, but during the early years of technology, when they introduced the game, when they introduced Super Mario Bros. The Castle, most of the games from most of the games it takes quite a long time to load, but this was but apparently the pixels they used in the 80s, if oh, I almost lost it. I can't get the question mark because I know where it is. So one of the early Mario pixels released in early years was that it wasn't like now, because the current quality of computer technology already invented was that it took many years to develop new technology, and the way they pixel it is it's just usually quite easy. It's because the pixel didn't use programs, because this game was released in 1988, And back then, there would have been no software. They would have to use the computer program to create the pixels as well. And the way to play is usually they never had the internet back then, and so when internet was released, they didn't have any game websites. Which this is only if you ever want to play a game on like this game at the time, you usually have to play on a console, which the early consoles, the early consoles that Nintendo invented, and that and a bit old games released, like early technology games were quite hard, and like this game, it feels very hard to play compared to the games invented a long time ago, are still being used today. However, when people still play these games, it's usually quite easy to play. Because one of my I guarantee you, I keep losing. It's just anyways, back to how the game was created. And so the many pixels they use is that there were no softwares. Symbol controls at the bottom. It's D and I and R. And if you ever wanted to skip a game, it was quite hard. Though it was quite impossible to skip games during then, because you'd have to read the whole script of what the game's supposed to be about before you play the game. Because if the games on computers weren't popular back then, it would have started getting famous. Although the creators of the game, or the CEO of the game website during the decade, was still in office, then he would have had gone famous. Because if you ever wanted the game to be famous, at that time, you'd have to use great pixel. Like this game, Mario had one of the best pixels and one of the best Nintendo games back then, because the CEO of the founder of Nintendo in 1988, or during the 80s, wherever Nintendo was founded, the founder or the CEO who invented Mario, there were there were no programs, and when it got to the early 90s, it was when they invented other computer mechanics to do with games, it was merged in. I can't do it anymore. I'm completely messing around. And this game was very hard. I don't believe you. I don't even believe it. It's just so hard. I don't know about if you. Anyways, at the end of the video, I'll put this game in the description. You can have a fun game playing it. And so this part over here, I tried pressing buttons, but it just won't go. Though, like, it takes quite a few minutes to read it, and when you think you're done reading it, I don't actually think they're done reading it, but they've let you read it first. They put a time set. If you read it, I don't think it's true on it, but they put a time set on it. Not a time set, but like they still put it on there. So if you finish reading, it's enough time. Then you can carry on with the game. This game is it's quite hard, but like, but back then you'd have to like deal with all the it was just hard to deal with. Yeah, it's getting quite annoying now when it's. It starts again with the rules, all the script, whatever. I don't know about the whole next level, but there have never been levels in the game. If you were to play Mario, I'm going to say Minecraft. He's been playing too much of it today. If I was ever to play Mario back then, since I wasn't alive then, I was born in the early 21st century. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.